You hear they're back? I blinked, didn't even look up from the fusion wrench. Back like who's back? The Terex. Council ship just dropped out near Ganymede, Marcus said, eyes wide like a kid seeing fire for the first time. Broadcasting on all the major bands. Guess who they're asking for? Us. I scoffed, half laughing. Thought we were too primitive for their shiny marble halls. Marcus shrugged, leaning against the edge of the workbench. That's what I thought. But they're not broadcasting to Mars. They're looking for Earthborn. Specifically. That made me stop. I stared at him for a second, trying to read if this was one of his jokes. Are you serious? As a decompression breach. Check your feed. I wiped my hands, flicked on my neural HUD. The feed lit up with a dozen overlapping headlines. Council seeks human aid. The Ricks request contact with Earthborn. First time since ban, aliens reach out. I tapped into the audio. Acknowledge the past decisions made by the Galactic Council. But circumstances have changed. We humbly request discourse with representatives of Earthborn descent. I muted it. Hell froze over. I muttered. You think it's real? I don't know what the hell to think. They banned us. Called us reckless. Violent. Said we weren't ready for civilized space. That was what, 20 years ago? 23, Marcus said. I was 7. Still remember that speech. Damn near broke my dad. Yeah. Mine too. He'd worked half his life trying to get Earth into the Council. We finally got a seat. 5 years later, we were kicked out after that mess on Calidra 4. I was too young to understand it all back then. Just knew one day people stopped trusting us. Earth tech embargoed. Human scientists blacklisted. Stations ignored distress calls if they came from Earthborn ships. You learn to fix your own oxygen and never call for help. So yeah, now they're here? Begging. Could be bait, I said, trying to shake the weird feeling growing in my gut. Marcus gave me that sideways look of his. What, you think the whole council's just floating outside Jupiter so they can snatch you? I shook my head. Not me specifically. Just, doesn't smell right. Why now? He glanced at the ship bay. Our rust bucket of a freighter sat there, half dismantled. I mean, we could go check it out. You outta your mind? He grinned. Always. But think about it. What if it's real? What if they need something only we got? I laughed. A dry, bitter thing. Like what? Our charming personalities. He leaned in closer. Our chaos. I frowned. You know I've been reading old logs, right? Council protocol, species history. Every major civilization in that council. Predictable. Efficient. But when real unpredictable stuff hits the fan, they freeze up. They got rules for everything, and when something breaks the rules, they just sit there debating for weeks while half a planet dies. Sounds familiar, I muttered. Yeah, well, Earth. We improvise. You drop a human in the middle of a hurricane with a spoon and duct tape. We'll build a shelter, a generator, and a barbecue pit before sunset. I smiled in spite of myself. You're not wrong. So maybe they finally hit something they can't fix by committee. I looked out through the hangar's cracked dome. Could barely see the glint of the council ship in orbit, distant like a ghost. You really want to go talk to them? He shrugged. We got nothing better to do. We got a half-dead freighter. You've kept it flying this long. I trust you. I hated how that got to me. 3 hours later, the ship coughed to life. She shuddered, groaned, but held. Can't believe we're doing this, I said, strapping into the pilot seat. Neither can I, Marcus said, grinning like he was headed to a party instead of flying into alien politics. The council ship loomed larger as we approached. Sleek and silver, with more elegance in one engine nacelle than our whole busted rig. They hailed us before we got within 10 clicks. This is the Terex diplomatic vessel Severance of Shadow. Identify yourselves. I looked at Marcus. He nodded. This is Captain Rise Teller of the independent freighter Junk Whisper. Earthborn, if that matters. There was a long pause. It does. Please dock at Portside Ring C. You will not be harmed. Marcus muttered. Comforting. We followed the NAV markers and latched on. Docking clamps hissed. The airlock cycled. As the inner door opened, I half expected a dozen guards with rifles. Instead, one tall, translucent-skinned the Rix stood alone. Her voice clicked like wind through broken glass. Captain Teller. Companion Marcus Venn. You came. Thank you. I stepped forward slowly. Didn't think you people still talk to us. She tilted her head. We did not. And that was a mistake. I didn't know what to say to that. Marcus beat me to it. So, what's got the council scared enough to call us back in? Her eyes shifted shades. Nervous, maybe. They're not all scared. Some still believe this is a mistake. And you. I believe you are the only ones who can survive what is coming. What is coming? She hesitated. A species older than the council. Something that should not exist in this part of the galaxy. Something hunting us. I raised an eyebrow. You've got a dozen species with fleets that can glass a moon. What makes you think we can handle it? She looked straight at me. Because you're the only ones who aren't afraid to burn everything down just to save one city. Marcus let out a low whistle. And if we say no? I asked. She didn't blink. Then you will die last. My blood ran cold. Marcus cursed under his breath. Welcome back to the council, Captain. You're telling me this thing eats stars? I could barely hear my own voice over the hum of the council ship's corridor. Everything in here was too clean, too smooth, like they designed it to feel unnatural. The Rix, Solen, our guide or babysitter, maybe both, tilted her long head. Not exactly. It eats around them. Systems go dark. Planets vanish. No signals. No survivors. Then it moves on. Marcus walked behind me, whistling low. Damn. Space Kraken. No Kraken. No ships. Just silence. She led us past sealed doors with unreadable glyphs, barely making a sound. So how many systems are we talking about? I asked. 7 confirmed. 3 on the fringe, gone before we knew. For more we watched in real time. We tried to intervene after the second. Lost 60 vessels. Marcus muttered. 60. The Rix, Seridan, Yulavai. We sent our best fleets. Nothing came back. My brain was doing that thing where it wanted to make a joke because the alternative was panic. But I bit it down. What do you even call something like that? She paused. It calls itself the Hollow. That shut us both up for a second. Just the sound of our boots. I finally said, dramatic. She actually nodded. It sends signals before it arrives. Patterns. Sometimes words. Return to the dirt. We were first. You are Shadow's echo. Things like that. Okay, Marcus said. Definitely not a space kraken. We reached a chamber, huge, round, and humming like a heartbeat. Lights blinked slowly across a central table shaped like a spiral galaxy. Around it stood 8 beings, all different species, none of them human. Every head turned when we stepped in. Solen motioned. Captain Teller. Companion Venn. These are the emergency tribunal members. Each voted to allow your return. One of them, a thick, crust-covered thing with 5 eyes, made a gurgling noise that translated into, under protest. Noted, Solen replied calmly. The spiral table lit up with data, maps, sensor traces, collapse patterns. Marcus leaned close to whisper. They really weren't kidding. It's like something's chewing through the rim sectors. Another alien, something almost bird-like, with wires trailing from its head, spoke in perfect Earth standard. You were banned because of your instability. But your wars, your recklessness, your adaptability, those might be the only weapons we have now. So you brought us back to throw us at a monster, I said flatly. Not throw, Solène corrected. Lead. Into what, exactly? She tapped the display. It zoomed into a dead system called Orpheus 9. The last image showed a small moon, split like a cracked egg. We want you to take a ship there. With a mixed crew. Survivors from a lost science outpost may still be in cryo. Wait, Marcus said, holding up both hands. You want us to go to a system where the Hollow already passed through? Yes. Are you crazy? No. Desperate. I rubbed my face, trying to think. Why not send one of your own? They hesitated. No one spoke. Finally, Solène said, because our people break when they see it. They hear the signal, and they stop. Stop. Stop being. They lose identity, purpose. Like something unravels them from the inside. I swallowed hard. Marcus looked queasy. But you, she added, eyes locking on mine, humans have a unique ability to function under chaos. Even when sanity breaks. Great, Marcus mumbled. We're immune to soul death. That's comforting. I exhaled slow. All right. We go. But we're flying our way. No protocol, no hand-holding. And we pick our own crew. Solène nodded. Agreed. And we want full reinstatement. No half-citizen nonsense. If we save your council, we sit at the damn table. There was a pause. Then, surprisingly, murmured agreement. Very well, said one of the tribunal. One more thing, I said, stepping close to Solène. Why us, really? There are better pilots. Better soldiers. She leaned close enough that her breath tickled. Because you've already been broken, Captain. And you kept walking. I didn't know whether to be flattered or terrified. Back on the freighter, Marcus flopped into his bunk, arms behind his head. So, we're gonna fly into ghost territory with a bunch of aliens and try not to get unraveled by a space god that eats planets. How's your day going? I sat on the crate across from him, popped a stim tab. Could be worse. Could be working salvage near Pluto. He laughed. Man, Earth's gonna freak when this hits the nets. Aliens come crawling back. They won't broadcast this. They'll bury it under 10 layers of security. I dunno, Rise. Feels big. Like, before the fall big. It did. I felt it in my gut. We're not gonna make it out of this clean, I said. Nope. I leaned back against the wall. Still wanna go. He looked at me, serious now. Are you kidding? This is exactly why we're still breathing. Why we survived the exile. Why we didn't quit when they slammed the door. A pause. Yeah, he said quietly. Let's go piss off a cosmic horror. The next day, we met our crew. A silent Venari with a single mechanical arm. A Seridan scientist who didn't look me in the eyes. A former the Rix soldier with half his face replaced by metal. And one human we didn't recognize. She stepped out from behind Solène, young, buzzed hair, sharp eyes. This is Kira, Solène said. Born after the ban. Raised in the Mars underground. Kira looked at me, nodded once. Heard stories. Thought you were all dead. Not yet, I said. She smirked. Give it time. I liked her already. Solène handed me a small cube. What's this? Coordinates. You'll find something in that system the Hollow didn't erase. What is it? A signal. Weak, but strange. Not council-made. I frowned. So not us. Not you. What then? She gave me that unsettling stare again. Something older. I looked at Marcus. He just shook his head. Every time we open a door, he muttered, something with teeth's waiting behind it. The cube hummed in my palm. The ship engines rumbled beneath us. And out past Jupiter, the dark was watching. You sure this thing's plugged in right? Marcus hunched over the sensor array, tapping the edge like that'd make it behave. The ship groaned again. We were 3 days into the jump toward Orpheus 9, and it already felt like something out there knew we were coming. It's not the array, I muttered. It's the damn signal. Kira leaned against the frame, arms crossed. The one the council found? I nodded. Yeah. The signal Solène gave us. Coordinates pinged something weird. Not a beacon. Not a transmission. More like a heartbeat. Kira raised an eyebrow. A heartbeat. Yeah. Repeating pulses. Regular. Too precise to be natural, but not synthetic either. Something in between. Marcus twisted a dial. It's not broadcasting words, just a constant low-frequency thump. Feels like it's under your skin, doesn't it? The Venari engineer, Relic, clicked softly from behind the NAV console. That was the most sound we'd gotten out of him since launch. He didn't talk much. Mostly just pointed or stared like he was always calculating something I'd never understand. The Seridan scientist, Tove, finally spoke from the back corner. Pulses like these can't exist in deep space naturally. It must be a construct. Maybe a remnant. Of what? I asked. Something older, he said. Solène was right about that part. Marcus muttered, Man, I don't like old things in space. Nothing good's ever been waiting in a ruin. He wasn't wrong. By day 5, the signal got louder. Not in volume, just presence. Like we couldn't shake it. Like it was crawling closer without moving at all. The Rix soldier, Veros, stood guard near the cargo hatch 24/7, barely blinking. I didn't know if he was paranoid or just knew more than he was saying. Either way, I trusted him more than I did the signal. We were 12 hours out when Kira dropped into the cockpit and sat across from me. Couldn't sleep, she said. I didn't look at her. Just kept one eye on the NAV readings. Yeah, me neither. You ever seen anything like this before? Nope. Scared. I finally looked at her. You're not. She gave a half smile. I'm not old enough to know when I should be. That made me laugh, just a little. Smart kid. You think this hollow thing is really out here? Like, waiting for us? I think it doesn't wait. I think it just moves. Devours. Then moves on. She looked out the front glass, into nothing. So why are we heading straight for it? I shrugged. Because the only thing worse than letting it come to us is not knowing what it is. We sat in silence for a bit. Then she asked, You ever lose anyone to the ban? That caught me off guard. My brother, I said quietly. He was off-world when it happened. Stuck in neutral space. No one helped him. No food, no fuel. He sent one last message before his oxygen ran out. She nodded. My mom was part of the Mars riots. Got shot during the blackout week. Council cut off power grid support. Said it was non-essential. I looked at her. Why are you here, Kira? She thought for a second. Because I want the council to owe me something they can't pay back. I couldn't help but grin. That's the most human thing I've heard all week. We dropped out of jump 6 clicks outside the Orpheus 9 system. Everything felt wrong the second we arrived. Where's the star? Marcus said, scanning the front viewer. It was there, but dim. Not dead. Just veiled. Like something had put a black film over it. Planets orbited like shadows, faint outlines with no light. Relic made a high-pitched clicking noise and pointed to the third planet. The display zoomed in. A broken moon hung in orbit, split down the middle like someone took a bite out of it. Debris floated in jagged rings. There, Tove said. The signals coming from the surface. Below the crust. Life signs? I asked. He hesitated. 1. Maybe 2. It's hard to tell. The whole planet's saturated with interference. Of course it is, Marcus muttered. We geared up. Landing was rough. The gravity was weak, atmosphere thin and cold, like the planet was still dying from whatever passed through. The sky was a dull red-gray, and the air smelled metallic inside the suits. Relic led point with Veyros. Tove monitored from a portable rig. Kira walked next to me, quiet but alert. We moved through the ruined outpost slowly, weapons ready. The signal grew stronger. It was coming from a rift in the surface. Not a cave. A clean break. Perfect edges, like a scalpel had sliced the planet open. This isn't natural, Kira said, kneeling at the edge. No blast marks. No erosion. Yeah, I replied, staring down into the black. Something made this. Veyros dropped a probe into the rift. It fell for 30 seconds before vanishing from the feed. No impact, Tove said, watching the screen. It just blinked out. Like it never hit bottom? Marcus asked. Tove shook his head. Like something turned it off. Everyone went quiet. Then we heard it. A voice. Not over the radio. Not external. Internal. It wasn't loud. It didn't shout. It whispered. You hear us now. Marcus's eyes went wide. You guys, you heard that, right? Everyone nodded. Even Relic, whose eyes were fixed on nothing. We are not coming. We are already here. Kira clutched her head. Make it stop. Tove dropped his equipment, shivering. This isn't a signal. It's inside our heads. Veyros raised his weapon, scanning wildly. We should leave. Now. But I didn't move. Couldn't. Something was in the rift. Something huge. Not a body. Not a presence. Just awareness. Like it had always been there, waiting for someone to notice. And now that we had, it was looking back. I stepped closer to the edge. Kira grabbed my arm. Captain, don't. But I saw something down there. Just for a second. A shape that didn't belong. Angular. Metal. Not alien. Human. And it was broadcasting. I turned to the others, pulse pounding. There's a ship down there. One of ours. Tove blinked. That's impossible. No one survived. No. It's old. Pre-ban. Maybe even before the council. Marcus looked stunned. You're saying we were out here first? I nodded slowly. Yeah. And whatever this hollow is, I think it found us a long time ago. Above us, the wind howled. And somewhere deep below, something whispered again. We remember you. I don't like it, Marcus said for maybe the 4th time. It's too quiet. We stood at the edge of the rift, same place we'd been when the whispers started. Below us, nothing but black. A black so dense it felt like gravity had opinions. Kira shifted next to me. The signal's stronger down there. The human one, I mean. Not the creepy whispering. Tove adjusted the scanner on his arm. It's deep, buried under what used to be a crust layer. Pre-fall. Which means the signal's been running for a long time. Decades. Maybe more. Could explain why the hollow's here, I said. Maybe we woke something up by coming. Kira snorted. Or maybe it's been waiting for us to come home. I looked at her sideways. You say creepy things with no hesitation, you know that? She just smiled. Veyros activated the descent drone, a compact platform with a stabilizer ring. Big enough to hold 2, maybe 3 of us. The rest would have to rappel. I volunteered to go first. Not because I was feeling brave. I just didn't want to think about what might come out of the hole while we waited. Strapped in, gun locked to my chest, I looked up one last time at the gray-red sky before the drone dipped over the edge. The light vanished almost immediately. Halfway down, the whispers returned. Flesh in echoes. Thoughts with teeth. Do you remember your beginning? I gritted my teeth. Not today. The drone shook, just slightly, like something had brushed past it. Status. Marcus's voice crackled over the comms. Still dropping. Nothing on visuals. Copy. You've got 30 meters until we lose direct line. The signal, ours, not the hollows, was clearer now. A soft pulsing tone, like a machine breathing. Not broken. Not damaged. Still working. The bottom came up slow. No impact, just a smooth landing on something that wasn't rock. I tapped the floor with my boot. Metal. I stepped off and immediately saw it, half buried under layers of ash and soil, a ship. Human-built. Sleek, older than any council-approved design, with markings in faded Earth standard. Kira's voice came through, calm but tight. We see you. Sending Veros and Relic next. Good. Tell them to bring cutting gear. The ship was shaped like a blade. Long, flat, no external thrusters. Pre-jump tech. Which meant this thing had to be from Earth's first wave of explorers. My stomach turned a little. We were never told about a first wave. I ran my hand across the hull. The nameplate was half eaten by corrosion, but I caught the last few letters. Enance. I whispered it out loud. Deliverance. Relic and Veros landed a few minutes later. Relic immediately went to work, fingers moving over seams and stress points like he could hear the metal speak. Veros stood guard, still scanning the darkness like he expected it to bite him. I think we found a door, I said, pointing to a warped airlock panel. Think it's pressurized? Veros asked. Nope. Think anything's alive in there? God, I hope not. Relic powered up the plasma cutter and got to work. Inside, the air was frozen, but breathable for a few minutes if you didn't mind the taste of rust and something older. Like a tomb. The corridors were narrow, barely lit by flickering emergency lines. Dust clung to everything. Every step echoed too long. Tov's voice came through the comms. Getting clearer telemetry now. That ship you're inside, it launched from Earth around 2130. That's impossible, I said. The ban was 2156. This thing would have never made it this far with Earth tech. I know. But that's what the records say. Ship ID matches an early prototype. A Ghost class. Wait, Marcus chimed in. Ghost class? As in stealth ships? No, Tove replied. As in ships we lost contact with. I moved deeper. Kira joined me 2 minutes later. She scanned the walls. This place feels weird. Like it's watching us. Not the first time you've said that. No, but this time it's not poetic. I think it's listening. She was right. At the core of the ship, behind 2 sealed doors and a wall that had been melted from inside, we found it. Cryopods. 4 of them. 1 still lit. I stepped up to the active pod. Frost covered most of the glass, but the face beneath it was unmistakably human. Older man. Beard, deep lines in his face. Peaceful, like he fell asleep thinking of something good. Tove whispered through the comm, that can't be right. What? I'm reading brain activity. Slow, but not degrading. He's alive. My heart kicked up. That's not possible. No, it's not. Kira leaned in. So, wake him up? I hesitated. You will remember soon, the whisper returned, crawling under my skin. He already has. The cryopod lit up, unprompted. Systems began warming. Alarms flashed in faded red. Marcus shouted in our ears. Get out of there. Something's coming down the rift. Big. Fast. Relic was already turning, weapons out. Veros moved to cover the door. Kira didn't budge. She stared at the pod. I think this guy's the reason the Hollow came here, she said. How do you figure? She looked at me, eyes wide. Because I've seen him before. On Mars. In the Rebel archives. They called him the First. The cryopod hissed. The man's eyes opened. Not slowly. Not with confusion. He opened them like he'd only blinked. And then he spoke, voice dry but clear. Did it follow me? Kira took a step back. Oh God. He looked at us, not surprised. Not confused. Just tired. I tried to warn them, he said. But we built the council instead. I swallowed hard. What are you talking about? His eyes flicked up to the ceiling. And the ceiling answered. You brought us to remember. Now remember what you were. Above us, the walls vibrated. The ship began to hum. And from deep within the black, something knocked. 3 slow, deliberate thuds, on the outside of the rift. Whatever was out there. It wasn't coming. It was already here. Marcus was yelling something through the comms, but it was all static now. Every channel, same thing. Just static and the same 3 knocks, over and over, like they were inside the headset instead of outside the ship. The man in the cryopod, he hadn't blinked since he woke up. Just stared straight ahead like he was still halfway in whatever century he came from. His voice was flat, quiet, too calm for what was happening around us. I warned them not to answer. Kira had her gun half raised but didn't know who to point it at. I stepped forward. Warned who? He looked at me, eyes sharp like broken glass. Earth Command. Council. Whoever thought they could rewrite the beginning and bury what we found out here. We didn't stumble on the Hollow. We made it. Tove's voice broke through faintly. Captain, you've got 6 minutes. That thing, whatever it is, it's moving through the upper layers of the crust. Straight down. I ignored him. Made it how? Contact, he said. Real contact. But not with ships or language. It wasn't like that. It wasn't there. It was underneath. Always underneath. It needed something. And Earth. Earth gave it the one thing it wanted. He looked at us now. Really looked. Memory. I glanced at Kira. She shook her head slowly, like trying to deny it would change something. You're saying the Hollow isn't a species, he said. It's a wound. A sentient one. It doesn't spread by conquest. It spreads by recognition. The moment you understand it, it's already inside. A bang rocked the hull. Not metal on metal. Not physical. It sounded like reality itself had just bent. Veros swore. Captain, we need to leave. Now. Another knock. Closer. Slower. Like it was waiting for us to answer. I turned to the man. What's your name? He hesitated. Used to be Commander Aaron Halst. Used to be. I didn't like that phrasing. Kira leaned forward. Why were you buried out here? Because I ran, he said. I saw what it did to the others. We made contact on Delphos Station. The AI picked up the signal first. Said it felt like its own code was being rewritten in real time. Then the crew started changing. Talking in their sleep. Writing things in languages we never programmed them to know. The ship started dreaming. Veros barked again. Captain. But I couldn't move. Couldn't leave yet. Why'd it chase you? Halst smiled, bitter and small. Because I remembered what it said. What did it say? He looked at the ceiling again. It said, you were the first door. My stomach turned. Kira took a step back, gun fully raised now. What does that mean? I asked. He didn't answer. Just closed his eyes. And then every screen on the wall lit up. Not with words. Not with images. With faces. Ours. Marcus. Kira. Tove. Me. All of us, talking, moving, saying things we hadn't said yet. Tove gasped through the comms. What the hell? Those are predictive maps. Neural forecasts. But they're too accurate. It's running future state scenarios of our personalities. It's not watching us, I said. It's reading us. Writing us forward. Relic, who hadn't spoken this whole time, suddenly said in his gravelly Venari voice, "We are not in the present anymore." Kira whispered, "It's folding time." And then everything froze. Not like the ship powered down. Not like the air went cold. Time itself paused. Our thoughts kept moving, but our bodies didn't. Just for a moment. And then, we were outside. Standing on the surface again. Just us. Me, Kira, Veyros, Relic. Tove's voice was gone. Marcus, gone. The rift wasn't there anymore. But the sky, it wasn't a sky. It was a mirror. Our own reflections, but they weren't us. They were versions. Wearing different uniforms. Some younger. Some older. Some with faces full of scars we'd never earned. Kira turned slowly, breathing hard. We're in it. Inside the hollow. Not inside, Holst said. He was still with us now, standing like he belonged. We've been remembered. I blinked. What? It doesn't need bodies. It needs minds. Thoughts. Patterns. The more people believe in it, the more real it becomes. That's why the Council banned Earth. Because we were the origin point. The first ones to know its name. Why'd they lie about you? I asked. He looked at me sadly. Because I never stopped remembering. Something moved in the distance, shapes like smoke made of glass. Reflective. Hollow. They didn't walk. They breathed. Every inhale felt like it pulled air from our lungs. Every exhale filled us with doubt. Kira fell to her knees, holding her head. They're in my memories. They're replacing things. Don't think, Holst said. Don't try to fight it. Just hold on to one thing that's yours. I closed my eyes. I saw my brother's last message. Him, alone, oxygen low, smiling anyway. Guess we really weren't made for the stars, huh? He'd said. But if you make it out there, remind them we were first. That's what I held onto. And the sky cracked. Just a hairline fracture, but it was real. Holst saw it too. That's it. It can't hold onto what you choose to remember. The mirror sky rippled, flickering between our world and something older. Tove's voice came back, broken but clear. Found you, signal, graviton anchors, pulling. Holst smiled, then looked at Kira. You're gonna make it. She looked up, shaking. You're not. He didn't answer. Just walked into the dark, toward the glass shadows. And then we fell. Right back into our bodies. Sound slammed into place. Lights flickered. The rift was above us again. Tove yelling. Marcus crying. Relic helping Veyros up. I checked my watch. Only 5 minutes had passed. We'd been in there for hours. Kira exhaled slowly. He stayed behind. I nodded. He wanted to close the door behind us. Tove's voice came through, choked and shaken. Guys, the signal's gone. Like it never existed. Marcus added, the hollow too. No more seismic movement. No more knocks. I looked up the rift. And swore I saw a reflection wink at me. Not mine. Holst's. Then it vanished. But in the back of my mind, something remembered. Marcus didn't talk much on the way back. None of us really did. The shuttle hummed under our boots, carrying us back to the Arcline carrier like nothing had happened. Like we just finished a recon run and not stood inside something that could rewrite time and crawl through memories like they were open doors. Kira stared out the window, arms crossed, jaw tight. Relic sat perfectly still, the way Venari do when they're hiding how shaken they are. Veyros checked and rechecked his gear, not because it needed it, but because motion made him feel in control. And me. I kept hearing Holst's voice. You were the first door. Tove met us in the bay. He looked pale under his dark skin, like he hadn't slept the whole time we were gone. Which, technically, was about 20 minutes. You all right? He asked. But his eyes said he already knew the answer. No, I said. But we're back. He swallowed. The council wants a report. Kira laughed once, short and bitter. They always do. We followed him down the corridor in silence, past crew who tried not to look directly at us. They knew something had gone wrong. You could smell it on us. The hollow was gone. No trace. No signal. Not even the strange gravity echoes from before. Like the planet had shrugged it off. But we hadn't. The debriefing was long, pointless. We told them what we could. Left out what we had to. You can't explain what it's like to feel your own thoughts being predicted before you think them. To watch yourself from the outside. A few of the higher-ups looked concerned. Most just looked annoyed. Like our trauma was a scheduling inconvenience. The council rep, some stiff from the Cylon block with a beard too sharp to trust, said something like, "So you're saying this was an unclassified AI disruption? A naturally occurring anomaly?" Marcus leaned in, face blank. "No, I'm saying we found a sentient echo that eats memory and weaponizes understanding." The man didn't even blink. Right. I'll mark that under unknown external influence. I bit back what I wanted to say. After the meeting, Kira cornered me outside the war room. We should tell them. I didn't ask who. And what exactly do we say? That the thing they banned Earth for is still out there? That it knows us? She shook her head. No. That it remembers us. That hit different. Because I'd been trying not to think about it, but I felt it too. Not fear. Not exactly. Recognition. It was still there, behind the stars. Not chasing us, not attacking. Just remembering. Waiting for the next time someone tried to forget. We left the carrier 2 days later. Orders came down, return to Earth. Council supervision. No contact with other species until further review. They called it a containment reassessment. We called it what it was, exile again. Kira stood next to me at the edge of the launch bay, watching our shuttle being loaded. They think locking us away will stop it, she said. They're wrong, I replied. Holst said we were the first door. Yeah. Then maybe we're also the last one. I didn't answer. Didn't need to. Back in our quarters, I opened Holst's personal log. Somehow, we'd brought it back. None of us remembered picking it up. But it was there, scorched edges, ancient design, data core still humming faintly. Only one file played. Audio only. If you're hearing this, then it means I failed to seal it completely. Not your fault. Was never going to be permanent. It doesn't die. Doesn't age. It just waits. I don't know if your council, Earthborn, rebel, doesn't matter now. Just remember this, it can't create. It can only reflect. Copy. Echo. The moment we stopped dreaming and started building only what we already knew, that's when it found us. That's when it fed. Don't let them make the same world again. Make something new. That's the only way to stay ahead of it. Then silence. The file erased itself after. Kira walked in just as it ended. You okay? No, I said. But I'm getting there. She sat next to me. After a long minute she asked, do you think it can still hear us? I thought about that. About how quiet space felt now. Not empty. Just listening. I think it never stopped. We made planetfall a week later. Earth looked smaller than I remembered. Not in size. In presence. Still blue, still scarred, still home. We touched down at Atlas Base. The old cities were half reclaimed now, green overtaking concrete. Satellites drifting lazy patterns above us, like nothing bad had ever happened here. The people who met us didn't ask questions. They just nodded, helped unload, told us where to report. No speeches, no flags, just acceptance. Maybe they didn't need the details. Maybe they already knew. A month passed, then 2, and then something happened. Small, quiet. One of the old orbital telescopes, long since automated, pinged a signal. It wasn't the Hollow. Not exactly. It was a ship. Not Council. Not Rebel. Human. And very, very old. The ID matched a lost vessel from the Europa Exodus, mid-2100s. Its engines were dead, but its logs still ran. Final entry timestamp. Yesterday. Kira and I sat in silence when we read that. She looked at me, voice barely a whisper. Another one of us survived? I shook my head slowly. No. I think the Hollow's showing us what we might have been. She stood. So it's not finished. No, I said. But maybe it's warning us. Not attacking. Not yet. We watched the stars that night. 4 hours. No words. And somewhere far out there, beyond the dark, something watched back. Not a monster. Not a god. Just a memory. Waiting to see if we'd open the door again.